Hello, guys. So, welcome to the first series of the Pearl Lemon Spotlight series, where we're going to be ultimately, I say we, I'm going to be interviewing rock stars at Pearl Lemon, and I'm really excited to bring this handsome man in front of you today.
Yeah,
Eon, so how do I pronounce your last name? I always get this wrong.
I'm not sure, man. To be honest, I go by depends on where you're based. It's Farmakides, but you can say Farmakides. I suppose
Okay,
is
that
I say the easiest. There's no. It's all Greek to everybody, man.
so guys, yeah, Ion Farmakides, he is the head of new business development at Pearl Lemon. Ultimately, anything that comes into our books, whether it's from our collection of websites, whether it's from the LinkedIn requests that I'll get personally, whether it's from our basically brand and business overall, Eon is in charge of all of those pieces. He's absolutely amazing. I've been excited about
That's
starting with.
sorry to interrupt. Yeah, that's absolutely true. By the way, um,
This is what makes ultimately Eon so great at new business. And what I thought would be a great place to start, Eon, is really talking to people a little bit about where you're from, who you are, and just introducing us to Eon, the man. Before we go on to talk about some other pieces.
yeah, cool, man. Thanks a lot. So, yeah, as you guys have noticed, I just I don't take myself too seriously. I do take the business seriously, and I think it's a combination of those two that really help kind of build good relationships with people, both professionally and personally. And I started right about 2007 on a more kind of corporate level, where I just ground level uh, sales on the phone, so outbound, just plain and simple, high level, high tickets, very short turn kind of sales cycles, and really that's where I learned everything. So I was event sales. I did that for about 8 years, which is like 47 years in human terms, and I just grew. I started. I think people felt that I could relate, and people could relate to me. So I started running teams, started hiring people, started putting different teams together for different products, different parts of the world. And I just kept on growing and growing and growing. I think I did that for as much as it made sense for me to do that. And then I
Hmm.
started, looking for similar, as you do, similar positions to just grow my career. And so that was kind of pretty corporate, one of the larger business meeting and let's say conference companies in the world. Moved on to doing translation sales for a bit, and then soon after, I had invested in a friend's startup, and he said, "Listen, I need a business development guy. I need it to be you." And I didn't think twice. So I just jumped. So I went from like corporate, like high end, suit and tie type of gig down to flip flops and short sales, which was really cool because you grow, and it doesn't matter what you do. I think the more well-rounded you can be as a professional in general, it just helps everything. So that was really cool. Learned a bunch, and then continued on to from that. That was kind of my stepping stone to being more freelance and working with people rather than for people.
Hmm.
And then about 2 3 years maybe into that type of journey, you and I hooked up, and it was at the time when I could really afford to kind of only associate with myself with things and people I believed in, and thought, listen, this is clearly a great dude. He just super driven, your stuff, crazy reviews, very applicable solutions, and having had like the corporate background as well as the startup background, I feel that because we're somewhere in the middle
It's a
where
bit of a blend, isn't it? I mean, where would you place the type of sales that you do for Pearl Lemon? Because I wouldn't really know how to answer that to people if they said, "Oh, what kind of clients do you work with?"
That's a great question, man. Look, it really depends because we have packages and kind of services, as you very well know, for pretty much anybody. So as long as somebody's looking to grow their online presence, be it from a B2B perspective or B2C, we're there to help. So, we work with some monsters, people who you had onboarded before I even joined. And then we work with some one-man bands who still need to get leads, still need
Yeah.
to get their name out there. So I think the fact that we're right there in the middle really allows us to be nimble and flexible enough to say, listen, what do you guys need?
Yeah.
And we're also in a great position where, as SEO service providers, we have to be good at SEO for ourselves, predominantly, which means that a lot of people find us, right? So
Yeah.
when people come to us saying, listen, I need SEO, I Googled SEO and I found you, already we're doing something well.
Yeah.
And then it's up to us, and I suppose up to me to a degree, to understand what it is from a commercial perspective people are trying to achieve.
And how do you feel actually thinking about you making those decisions in real time? Because what I want to focus upon here that I find pretty incredible about your diversity is that we do, I know from having grown the business before and since you've been involved, the range of clients that we work with and the people that we do business with, how, because I'd love to know how instrumental, because I think that that's something that's quite particular about your skill set, has coming from that background where you've done corporate events-based sales to, flip-flop sales, as you called it. I love that expression. How instrumental has that been to you within within your work at Pearl Lemon? Because I know that oftentimes you don't know really who you're talking to until you get on the call, and you have to make a lot of these decisions in real time. And I feel that that's involves a huge amount of adaptability. I mean, you've told me about some people where there's no banter, there's no nothing, versus others. And could you talk through a little bit of how your experiences that you've had have translated into the comfort within which your skills make it such an excellent fit for Pearl Lemon?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think it comes down to, for one, it's super important to be able to put yourself in the prospect's shoes. So I like to look at it as, anytime somebody comes to us and says, listen, I need leads. I just went to market. I don't have anybody, or I need to outrank this guy. I need to outrank that guy. I always like to look at it as, okay, this is my company. What would I like to do?
Yeah.
Knowing what we can provide as a group, what do I need to hear? And then, talk about money and all that later. What's important is to understand, first of all, can we legitimately add value? Is it something that we feel the prospect is going to benefit from?
Yeah.
And then as long as you have, I believe at least, as long as you have that mindset, then it's quite easy to kind of put something together which specifically kind of focuses on what each prospect and each client eventually needs.
Yeah.
So if somebody is like, yeah, you touched on that a little bit. Look, we're not going to get along with everybody in the world on a personal level. And we know very well that there are clients who are either more demanding, less demanding, get it more. They have more kind of knowledge about what we do, so that they handle us differently, and they want to be handled differently. But which is why I love having these calls. It's fairly, I don't think it's necessarily easy every time, but it's fairly straightforward and simple, at least, to understand, okay, this guy or this gal, this is what they need to kind of achieve.
Okay. Yeah.
And you also get a sense, like when people request a call, or they get in touch, or we have some sort of connection, we get referred to somebody, whatever the case may be. I always do background. I always, we go to the website, check LinkedIn profiles, look at their clientele, look at how big they are, look at what they've done, get a feel as to what they're looking to achieve. And you can, I don't assume that I know, but I mean, look, I've looked at a trillion websites maybe, and I've spoken to a gazillion people on the phone, and I feel I just have enough experience and understanding. Okay, this is where these people want to be,
Yeah.
and can we really get them there? Because
Yeah.
we're also in a fortunate position, and this isn't pitching ourselves and saying, oh, we're so great and I'm so awesome, but we are in a position where, look, everybody wants leads, and whether they use us or not is a different story. But everybody needs leads. Everybody would like to, in an ideal world, outrank their competition. So it's not as if we're selling, some obscure, weird services. It's extremely applicable.
Do you want to make any comments on some of the weirdest products that you've been pitched to say, hey, can you do lead generation or SEO for? I know that certainly there was, I think, was it a Microsoft add-on, a company that we spoke about recently, but it'd be quite funny to hear about Deepak, this is like some of the strangest examples of products that, people try and want to,
Jeez, yeah. I mean, most of them haven't come to fruition simply because I didn't feel that. I mean, we take people's money for what? Because there've been some people who I think reach a certain stage professionally and they think, okay, I'm going to do this on my own and this is going to work, and they surely have the knowledge behind it. But then it's like getting somebody to, like a professional coach who way overcharges for what they deliver.
yeah,
And then it's like, yeah, I need to reach out to all of, and I'm thinking, well, listen, these guys are not gonna line up to, this isn't gonna work. There's a trillion people like you doing exactly what you're doing, and they have crazy online personas.
yeah,
From that to then, I don't know, it's sometimes, but I also don't want to take anything away from people because, look, if you really believe in something and you're thinking, I'm going to make this work, good on you.
yeah,
Go out there,
yeah,
spend it, try and make it done. What I like is people who like, we start working with somebody and when they totally get it, that's what I like. People who laugh at themselves and say, geez, I'm never going to achieve this. And then we get them a little bit closer and they think, you know what? Oh, that's awesome, guys. So those are the ones I'm really. And the other one I've learned as well, which I think we've managed to kind of curb to at least a certain degree within PL, within our group, is if somebody has unrealistic expectations,
yeah.
you need to manage them from the get-go, because if not, it can spiral, and then you're the one to blame.
That's such a huge challenge, isn't it, when you're selling lead generation services? I mean, I think the expectation coming in is that a lot of people come in and, say or throw away comments such as, okay, so we're going to get, 20 highly qualified leads on the phone that are just there to be closed. And we know, I mean, as a business, we'll generate, I think, like, we'll do maybe, I mean, you're on at least a couple of calls a day. I mean, sometimes you'll have a day where there's not a call, and then the next day you'll have 5. And I just often, how do you manage the challenges of someone who comes in and does have like totally unrealistic expectations for what's achievable?
Look, it's a matter of being open and explaining that, listen, we can't like invent a lead, which is, I think a lot of people already know this, but I think that we do get some people who say, listen, I need leads, my product works, and all I need to do is speak to people because they're going to buy it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, man, listen, if you think it's that simple, sure. But then they also, and I say this doesn't happen too often, to be fair, but there are people who say, listen, everybody's going to be interested in my product, which is also unrealistic.
Yeah.
But then you say, okay, listen, we're going to reach out to thousands of people, right? We're not going to sell it for you. I'm not going to get on the phone saying, listen, you got to buy this because it's, this and this and that. We're going to make the introduction because, A, we don't want to jeopardize the deal for you.
Yeah.
You're going to sell it better than I will.
Yeah.
And I want to get you to because what's the big problem with orchestrating a kind of a sales environment and putting together like a pitch which somebody really wants to listen to. Mm-hmm. It's getting through the initial part. Because most people, I learned this from experience as well, because I started cold calling.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, I don't care, man. Give me God's number, I'll call him. Like I do not care.
Yeah.
But that's not how people are. And it's not because they're scared because they're weak or whatever. They never learn how to do it. It's not a natural thing to say, I'm going to speak to somebody who does not want to speak to me.
Yeah.
And then convince them to do something.
Yeah.
People don't want to get into that jazz. So if you remove that from the equation and just say, listen, these people are interested in hearing from you, but I don't know if they're going to buy. I mean, come on. Otherwise, we charge millions.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's unrealistic. So I think you manage that by just saying, listen, we're going to make the introductions. All we can do, because this is the truth, is you say, I'm only targeting CEOs in the hospitality sector in the UK.
Yeah.
Which means that we can't get the targeting wrong. And let's call it a 3% kind of, deviation, because profiles vary. Sometimes somebody doesn't update something and they've retired and they're still active virtually on.
And we're talking LinkedIn now, guys, if you're wondering.
Absolutely.
No, it's okay. We use LinkedIn as our first place to profile kind of individuals. But please continue.
No, you're absolutely right. Sorry. So online profile generally, but specifically via LinkedIn, we're going to get it right simply because the client tells us what to do.
Yeah.
We then initiate, you put together a kick-ass, copywriting team in-house. So we know how to reach out to people. We have enough experience, and I also have enough experience to say, okay, legal talk should be, let's call it, message type of, I don't know, message feed A. And then a marketing agency needs to kind of reach out in a different, on a different way. Language has to be different. Personas have to be different. You can't just copy paste, right?
What I really love about just hearing like all of these pieces is the degree of sophistication that I think comes clearly naturally to you right now in terms of understanding different personas, objection handling, perhaps, if you will, when thinking about the unrealistic expectation to the very niche product to perhaps the business owner who feels that he's got a product that will have worldwide appeal, and all of these kind of variations. And a lot of this, I imagine, comes from your journey in sales. I mean, 2007, we're talking a good 13 years. What were you doing before 2007? Because I want to also make light of your pre-sales history.
Sure. Well, you know what? I thought about this years ago that to a degree I've always been in sales one way or another because as you know, look, I used to play music. And we used to put together a merch. We used to sell our stuff at live shows, and I always had sales jobs here and there. I worked at a skate shop where it was sales still.
Okay.
So face to face.
Yeah.
I sold T-shirts as a kid at festivals.
Okay.
And there was always like it wasn't that much of a, I need to sell you because I need to make the money. It was more of a, I need to negotiate, and what am I looking to achieve? I need to get this record label to like my band.
Yeah.
So how am I going to do that? My band has to be good, which we weren't, to be fair. But then when they come to you, you need to sell it as well. Why do you get a better percentage deal?
Okay, yeah.
Why should you be in this festival? Why should you, so it was always, to a degree, I think it was more, maybe it's like me like getting I don't know what it is, but it was always like sales to a degree, more negotiation maybe. But yeah, I played music and then just growing up in Athens, Greece.
Yeah.
And
so
then just
when did you? Because obviously you're in not obviously, guys. Eon's in Spain. He's in Sitges. Yeah. Is that how you pronounce it? Sitges?
That's correct. Yeah, just outside Barcelona. Quarantined like everybody else is right now. But yeah.
When did you? Because you're born and raised Athens. Is that right?
I was born in New York, but I was. I think they kicked me out. I was too good looking a baby or something to that effect, and they said no, you can't. We can't afford that. So I grew up in Athens, and then after a while, it was like, look, Greece is a great place to live in, but it's got so many limitations.
Okay.
And then Barcelona came up as an option. I was looking for international jobs, and it was a case of, this events company was massive and huge, and look, it was an entry level job, but it was like something I'd never been able to do in Greece. And then after that, I was like, do you know what?
Was that in Barcelona then? The events.
Exactly.
Okay. Perfect.
Exactly. And then I just didn't want to go back, and I mean now I miss it, but
how old were you when you left Athens?
20. I don't remember. I need to do the math. Say 23, 24.
But then when did you? I mean, in Athens, did you go to like an international school or something? Because you have close. I mean, you don't have a Greek accent or you sound closer to American.
Deepak, if I want to, I have very Greek accent. But I find that it's a type of accent you use for different types of business.
Okay.
If you want to do international business, I cannot speak like this. No, let's say my
that was amazing.
Yeah, sure. My mother's side is so my grandfather never spoke any Greek, and he was like a proper American guy, but living in Greece. And I spent a lot of time with him, and my mother spoke to me in English a fair amount. And then the school I went to was pushing English heavily. And it's like, look, it's like most countries where I don't know, take the Nordics for instance.
Yeah.
Right. If a Swedish person doesn't know English, what are they going to do?
Okay.
And not to take anything away from Sweden, it's a phenomenal country, obviously, but it's like it's not the same as if you're Spanish. People don't speak English as well because the market is, quite heavy. I mean, there are German people who don't speak English, which you think, how's that possible? They don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't need to do something, you're not often driven to,
Yeah.
to do it. So for Greeks, it's like you have to,
Yeah.
because otherwise we're going to talk amongst ourselves and we hate each other. So what are we going to do?
It's been a quite interesting journey for you, hasn't it? Really, dude. I mean, thinking of you said you were born in New York and you moved as a kid, did you? Like 5, 6 years
No, it's a
old?
baby. No, 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 no.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
like literally, I mean, I have a bit of family there, but it was just like,
Okay. Got it. Got it. So really like Athens and then Barcelona in 2007. Then was that when you moved 2007?
yeah, yeah. I went to, I took a couple of semesters. I went to England for when I was doing my degree in an Athens-based college. So spent a bit of time there.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, yeah, it's mostly been, I suppose, Athens in Spain, or
Yeah.
Greece and Spain,
Yeah.
and yeah, yeah. It's I
Did
mean, look,
you?
with what we do. Oh, sorry, go.
No, no, no. Please go ahead. Go ahead with what we do.
Yeah, with what we do, especially since I started being like more, having a more kind of like, I suppose, non-anchored type of career.
Mhm.
It doesn't really matter where we are, right? I mean, you could
Yeah.
be, London today, could be in, I mean, time zones are one thing to obviously look at, but other than that, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah. Was that? I mean, I'm curious to know that your events gig was, I presume, it was office based, right? As in, like, yeah, yeah. I mean, you
very
often
much so, yeah.
you often refer to it, I think, as the boiler room. Was it boiler room style of sales? Was that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a legitimate business. Don't get me wrong. It was, and it wasn't like you'd expect, like a traditional, I suppose, yeah, boiler roomy sales
Hmm.
floor to be. The
Hmm.
events were great, high end. I learned everything there practically.
Yeah.
So I'm not taking anything away from it, but the I suppose the approach, because it's quite stringent and it's very KPI focused, it takes away from what I would consider to be a more kind of natural sales approach, because you have to be in a specific box. There's a way, there's a pitch, there's like a sales kind of direction you have to take.
Hmm.
And yeah, look, it was great because you also got to go to a lot of events. I mean, I went to Switzerland, God knows how many
Yeah.
times. Went to like Dubai, went to Vegas, went to Miami, went to Panama,
Wow.
uh, went to France, Germany, went to England, went to.
Wow. Okay.
You'd
You.
go, and then you'd
Yeah.
meet your clients face to face as well. So
Yeah.
you'd also do face to face business, and that was like, that again where I learned practically everything on in a business sense. So yeah, I definitely appreciate I can work from home, have a co-office in Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
I can go to my, cafe. I can, especially nowadays, like, sure, our business has changed a little bit due to this ridiculous bananas climate that we're going through. But I mean, home, same deal for me, other
Yeah.
than, people being affected severely, obviously. But to me, fundamentally, it's could have been
Business
any
as
any any,
business,
any Friday, yeah.
business as usual. Yeah. No. Absolutely. No.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, I think that since guys, since Eon's come into Pearl Lemon, and some of this stuff is new to me. I didn't know that you were born in New York, then moved to Athens, and your events gig is something that ultimately took you to Barcelona. And I feel just pretty, I think, privileged ultimately to have you leading kind of the sales front. Certainly in the last quarter, I think I shared with you the numbers. We had like a 25, at least a 25%, I think, sales growth quarter on quarter in terms of just our overall worldwide revenue. And the big change over, because we've been working together maybe 7 months, maybe
Oh
now.
no, no, it's been over a year now.
Is it over a year?
Yeah, it's just that in the beginning, up until June, it was like a transition period. That's why.
Okay. Well, I certainly know that in probably the last quarter was when you moved into the position of head of all of the inbound business, right? And that was certainly a big transition for us, that became your baby, and instead of it being split amongst a couple of salespeople, we kind of moved you up, and it's been a huge change for our business, which has been amazing, and that's why I was so excited to hear more about your story, more in detail. It's of course for you guys that are listening, but it's also bit of my own interest in finding out more about Eon and his history. Look, I think on that note, I would love to wrap it up, guys. We'll be back with Eon again in the next video. We're going to be doing a couple of these spotlight series, so if you've enjoyed watching, please do comment, like, and subscribe. Whether you've seen it from your own searches or whether Eon's dropped you a link, I'm just would say that it's I feel privileged to be working with Eon, and
Likewise, man.
it's a grand old journey that we're on. So Eon, thank you so much for your time, and I'll
Thank you,
catch
sir.
you in our next follow-up video.
Cool.
See you, dude.
Talk soon, man. Ciao.